Welcome back to Edzy, your personal AI tutor for an extended revision episode on Class 10 English for CBSE Class 10. Today, Gaurav and Swati are sitting with you for Robert Frost's poem Fire and Ice. We will take roughly 30 to 60 minutes, so settle in comfortably. Keep a notebook nearby if you have one, but you can also listen passively and revise calmly. A student from Pune, Ria, once understood the poem better after asking why both heat and cold could symbolize human behavior. We will explore that exact kind of question, along with the poem's concepts, questions, vocabulary, structure, and exam tips.
I am Swati, and I will keep checking whether the ideas are clear rather than allowing us to memorize a summary mechanically. I will ask you questions, point out likely confusions, and give you time to form your own answer. Gaurav will anchor the explanations and help us shape precise exam responses. So, even if you're traveling or resting, listen for the meaning. If your notebook is ready, write only keywords first and later turn those keywords into complete answers.
Our learning map is simple. We will first understand what the poem asks about the end of the world. Then we will examine fire as desire and ice as hatred, coldness, and efforts. After that, we will study the speaker's reasoning, the words perish and suffice, the nine-line structure, and the varied rhyme scheme. Finally, we will practice the textbook questions and build short, reliable exam answers.
Here is the first thought to carry with you. The poem does not merely ask whether the world will end through a physical force. It asks whether powerful human emotions can also create destruction. Think about this before we explain anything. Which seems more dangerous? An emotion that burns intensely or an emotion that becomes completely cold?
The poem begins with two possibilities. Some people imagine the world ending in fire, while others imagine it ending in ice. Frost immediately places two opposite images beside each other. Fire suggests heat and intensity, whereas ice suggests coldness and stillness. The important point is that these are not only natural elements, they become symbols for human emotional states.
Notice the clever movement. The speaker starts with what people say, not with an absolute scientific statement. That makes the opening sound like a discussion about different beliefs. Then the poem moves towards the speaker's own experience of desire and hate. So the question changes from what may happen to the world to what human beings already feel and do.
Let us summarize the progression in four steps. First, people have different ideas about the world's end. Second, the speaker has experienced desire and therefore understands why some favor fire. Third, the speaker has also known enough hate to understand ice. Fourth, if destruction had to happen twice, ice would be sufficient as well. That final idea establishes equality between the two forces.
Test yourself now. Does the speaker choose only fire and reject ice? Do not answer too quickly. The speaker says that based on personal experience of desire, fire seems convincing. But the speaker then adds that hate is also powerful enough to cause destruction. So the poem gives fire a slight first position, but it does not treat ice as weaker in its destructive ability.
That distinction is an important answer point. The poem is not a simple choice between a good element and a bad element. Both symbols represent harmful extremes. Desire can become uncontrolled, and hatred can become deeply cold and destructive. Frost's thought is balanced, opposite emotions look different, but either can have catastrophic consequences when they dominate human behavior.
A common reading mistake is to treat the poem as a literal prediction about the planet. The source invites reflection on the end of the world, but its central literary method is symbolism. In an answer, explain both levels carefully. Fire and ice are visible images, and they also stand for intense desire and destructive hatred or indifference.
Let us slow this down and focus on fire. In the poem, fire symbolizes desire. The source connects this desire with emotions and impulses such as greed, avarice, lust, fury, conflict, cruelty, and rage. These words do not all mean exactly the same thing, but they share intensity. They suggest wanting, attacking, or reacting so strongly that judgment may be damaged.
Why is fire an effective symbol for desire? Fire spreads, burns, and can become difficult to control. In the same way, unchecked desire can grow beyond a reasonable limit. The poem does not say that every desire is automatically evil. Its warning concerns desire as an extreme force, one that can produce destructive behavior and eventually chaos or downfall.
The speaker says, in effect, that personal experience of desire supports those who favor fire. The phrase about having tasted desire matters because it gives the statement a personal basis. The speaker is not making a distant observation. The speaker claims some understanding of desire and therefore considers fire a convincing image for destruction.
Listen for the difference between experience and approval. When the speaker says that desire supports fire, it does not mean the speaker celebrates greed, lust, or rage. It means the speaker recognizes the destructive power of these emotions. In an exam, write recognize or understand, not praise, unless the question specifically asks you to interpret the speaker's attitude.
Suppose a question asks, what does fire stand for in the poem? A complete short answer would say that fire symbolizes desire and intense passion. It may include greed, lust, fury, or rage. Frost presents these emotions as potentially destructive when they remain unchecked. This final phrase is valuable because it explains not only the symbol but also its consequence.
Your turn. If you had to explain fire in only three keywords, which would you select? Desire, intensity, and destruction would be a strong set. You could also use passion, greed, and chaos if the question allows a broader explanation. Take a moment to form a sentence because an exam answer needs a connected idea rather than a loose list.
Now we turn to ice, which creates a different emotional picture. Ice symbolizes hate, coldness, insensitivity, and indifference. The source also gives intolerance and rigidity among the possible ideas. These emotions do not burn outward like desire. They suggest emotional distance, lack of care, and a refusal to respond with warmth or understanding.
Here is the surprising part. Students sometimes think that only a loud, angry emotion can be destructive. Frost challenges that assumption. Hatred can also work through coldness and indifference. A person may not shout or act with visible fury, yet a complete lack of concern can still damage relationships and human life. That is why ice is presented as equally sufficient for destruction.
The word hate is especially important because the speaker says that enough knowledge of hate supports the possibility of ice. Again, experience gives weight to the statement. The speaker understands that hatred is not a harmless absence of feeling. It can become a force that destroys, especially when joined with insensitivity or indifference.
Let us compare the two symbols without making them identical. Fire is active, heated, and connected with excessive desire. Ice is cold, rigid, and connected with hatred or emotional indifference. Their appearances are opposite, but their result can be similar. Destruction. That contrast between appearance and consequence is one of the poem's strongest ideas.
An exam ready sentence could be ice represents hatred, coldness, and indifference, showing that destructive emotions need not be fiery or openly aggressive. Even emotional rigidity and lack of sensitivity can be powerful enough to cause destruction. Notice that the answer links the symbol with its meaning and then with the poem's warning.
Quick check which word best separates ice from fire, intensity, coldness, desire, or passion. The strongest answer is coldness, though hatred and indifference explain it more fully. Do not write only ice means cold. That repeats the physical image and misses the metaphorical meaning expected in literature answers.
We have reached the first major idea. The opening presents fire and ice as competing possibilities, while the middle of the poem connects them with desire and hate. Before moving ahead, remember this compact chain: fire, desire, intensity, possible destruction, ice, hate, coldness, possible destruction. This is not a substitute for understanding, but it is a useful mental map.
The phrase about the world ending in fire introduces the first imagined outcome. The next idea places ice beside it. Frost creates a balanced opening through repetition of the thought that some people hold one view and some another. This balance prepares us for the poem's central contrast and makes the reader consider both possibilities before the speaker gives a personal response.
Then comes the speaker's reference to having tasted desire. The verb tasted makes desire feel like something personally experienced, almost like a sensation. It helps us understand why the speaker can speak with confidence about fire. The line is not a detailed story about one event. It is a compact reflection on the speaker's awareness of desire.
Would you call this a personal or distant voice? It is personal because the speaker refers to what has been tasted and to knowing enough of hate. That personal voice makes the large question about the world's destruction feel connected to ordinary human nature. The poem becomes thoughtful rather than merely dramatic.
The conditional idea about the world perishing twice is also significant. The speaker imagines that even if one explanation were not enough, another would be available. This is a concise way of saying that fire and ice are separately powerful. The poem does not need a long description of disasters, its argument is built through contrast and suggestion.
The ending says that ice is also great for destruction and would suffice. The word also is crucial. It places ice alongside fire rather than below it. The word suffice means be sufficient. So the ending means that ice alone would be enough to cause destruction. That small word also helps Frost complete the poem's balanced comparison.
Let us build an answer to a likely question. How does the speaker support the idea that ice can destroy the world? The speaker says that if the world had to perish twice, ice would be sufficient. The speaker's experience of hate provides the basis for this view. Thus, hatred and cold indifference are shown to possess destructive power equal to that of desire.
A small clarification, the poem does not explain exactly how the world would physically end. It leaves that image open. The educational focus is on what fire and ice represent and why both can lead to destruction. Therefore, avoid inventing a detailed disaster in your answer. Stay with the symbols, emotions, contrast, and consequence.
The first major theme is the destructive power of human emotions. Frost suggests that feelings are not always private or harmless. Desire, greed, hatred, and indifference can shape actions, relationships, and the wider world. The poem therefore connects inner emotional life with social consequences. What people feel and how they express it can contribute to chaos or downfall.
The second theme is the danger of extremes. The poem is not warning us against one mild feeling or one ordinary preference. It presents desire and hatred as forces that become destructive when they are intense, unchecked, or expressed without care. In a theme answer, the word extremes is useful, but supported by naming the two contrasting symbols.
Another theme is the duality of destruction. Fire and ice are opposites in physical quality, yet both can bring the same final result. This teaches us that harmful outcomes may arise through very different emotional paths. One path is heated and passionate, the other is cold and hateful. The difference makes the warning more powerful.
The poem also encourages self reflection. The source says that it resonates personally because it asks readers to consider their own emotions and interactions. We should therefore not keep the interpretation at the level of an imaginary world ending. The deeper question is, can our own desire, anger, hatred, or insensitivity harm ourselves and other people?
If a question asks why the poem remains relevant, answer through this personal and social connection. Human emotions still influence behavior and relationships. The poem reminds readers to be mindful of feelings and their impact. Do not make a broad claim unrelated to the poem. Bring the answer back to desire, hatred, emotional control, and destructive consequences.
Your active recall question is this: what is the relationship between passion and indifference in the poem? Passion is represented by fire and indifference by ice. They seem opposite, but both can become destructive extremes. If you can explain that contrast in 2 or 3 connected sentences, you have understood the poem's central theme.
Up तक we have covered the poem's first major ideas. The world may be imagined as ending in fire or ice, and those images represent desire and hate. We have also seen that the speaker uses personal experience to support both possibilities. Now we will examine how the poem's short structure and sound help present this contrast.
The poem is composed of 9 lines. That is a very compact form for such a large idea about the end of the world. Its brevity gives the statement force. Frost does not provide a long narrative or many characters. Instead, he uses a few carefully selected images and emotional terms to make the reader think deeply.
The poem has a varied rhyme scheme. The recurring sound connections, especially around words linked with fire and ice, create rhythm and unity. At the same time, the arrangement does not make the poem sound mechanically repetitive. This combination supports the poem's thought. Opposite ideas are held together within a concise, balanced structure.
The textbook asks how the rhyme scheme helps bring out contrasting ideas. A strong response should mention 2 things. First, rhyme gives the poem a rhythmic balance and keeps the reader engaged. Second, the sound pattern holds together the contrasting images of fire and ice, making the tension between them more noticeable.
Be careful not to write an unsupported exact pattern if you have not checked the line endings yourself. The supplied material describes the rhyme scheme as varied and explains its balancing effect. In an answer, focus on the recurring sounds, rhythm, contrast, and engagement. Literary analysis should be precise, not overconfident.
Think about why a short poem can feel serious. The compact form leaves little space for unnecessary detail. Each image carries more weight, and the final statement about eyes being sufficient becomes memorable. The rhythm helps the poem move from public opinion to personal experience, and then to a final judgment.
A useful exam frame is Frost uses a short 9-line poem and a varied rhyme scheme to present a balanced contrast between fire and ice. The rhythm makes the ideas memorable, while the sound connections reinforce the tension between the two opposing symbols. Complete this by stating that both symbols point towards destruction.
Quick check. Is the rhyme scheme included only for decoration? No. It contributes to rhythm, balance, and emphasis. It supports the poem's contrast and keeps the reader engaged. When answering a literary device question, always explain the effect. Naming a device without stating what it does usually produces an incomplete response.
Let us clarify the 2 vocabulary words given in the poem. Perish means to die. In this context, it refers to the imagined destruction or ending of the world. Suffice means to be sufficient or to be enough. When the speaker says ice would suffice, the meaning is that ice alone would be enough for destruction.
There are also important conceptual words. Desire is a strong wish or longing. Hatred is an intense negative feeling towards someone or something. Indifference means a lack of concern or interest. Insensitivity means not recognizing or responding to the feelings of others. These meanings help us move from dictionary knowledge to interpretation.
Avarice means extreme greed for wealth or material gain, while rigidity suggests a quality of being stiff or unwilling to change. Intolerance means unwillingness to accept views or differences. These words are offered as possible emotional associations for fire and ice. Use them only when they fit the question and explain the connection instead of copying a list.
Let us check the distinction between greed and hatred. Greed belongs more naturally with the heated desire represented by fire. Hatred belongs more naturally with the cold, emotional force represented by ice. Cruelty, conflict, fury, intolerance, and rigidity can be discussed as related destructive qualities. But your answer should always connect them to the main symbols.
A compact vocabulary revision is perish means die, suffice means be enough, desire means strong longing, hatred means intense dislike, indifference means lack of concern, and insensitivity means lack of awareness of others' feelings. Say these meanings aloud once. Active recall is stronger when you retrieve the meaning before looking at it again.
If one word is still unclear, this is a good moment to ask Etsy for an exact AI tutor doubt, such as the difference between indifference and hatred. Then try to explain the answer in your own words. The goal is not merely to receive a definition, it is to reach the point where you can teach the distinction to another student.
We are entering the textbook questions now. The first question asks whether you think the world will end someday and whether you have considered what could happen if the sun became extremely hot or grew colder and colder. This is an open-ended response. It tests thoughtful engagement, not one fixed prediction supplied by the poem.
Before hearing a model direction, form your own view. You may say that the question makes you think about possible change in the world, or you may say that the poem uses these possibilities to explore human emotions. Whichever view you take, support it clearly and connect it to the images of extreme heat and extreme cold.
A responsible answer could explain that the question presents two extreme physical possibilities, but Frost turns them into symbols of emotional destruction. The important learning is not to pretend that the poem gives a scientific explanation. It asks us to imagine an ending and then reflect on the harmful power of desire and hatred.
The second textbook question asks what fire and ice stand for and provides several possible ideas. Sort them instead of memorizing them in one long line. Fire connects with greed, avarice, lust, fury, conflict, and cruelty. Ice connects with hatred, coldness, indifference, insensitivity, rigidity, and intolerance. Some qualities may overlap, so explain the dominant association.
For a 2-mark response, begin with the direct meaning. Fire symbolizes intense desire and passion, while ice symbolizes hatred and emotional coldness. Then add the consequence. Frost presents both as forces capable of destruction. This structure is efficient because it answers what the symbols mean and what role they play in the poem.
Try this recall question without looking back. Why does the speaker figure fire first? The answer is that the speaker has experienced or tasted desire and therefore agrees with those who think fire could end the world. Why does the speaker then accept ice? Because the speaker knows enough of hate to say that ice would also be sufficient for destruction.
The third textbook question concerns the rhyme scheme and its effect. Do not answer only, it has rhyme. Explain that the varied sound pattern creates rhythm and balance. It also keeps the reader engaged and strengthens the contrast between the two opposing ideas. The form mirrors the tension between fire and ice.
A quick challenge. If a question asks for the central message, would you write that fire is good and ice is bad? No. That would be a serious misunderstanding. The message is that both uncontrolled desire and cold hatred or indifference can become destructive. The poem asks us to be mindful of our emotions and their impact.
A useful long answer structure has 3 parts. Start with the central contrast between fire and ice. Then explain fire as desire and ice as hatred or indifference, using the speaker's personal experience. End by discussing how both can cause destruction and why the varied rhyme and compact form strengthen the presentation. This gives your answer a clear beginning, middle, and end.
At this point, close your notes for a minute and say the entire poem's argument in your own words. People imagine two different endings. Fire represents desire, and the speaker understands it through experience. Ice represents hatred and cold indifference, and it too would be enough for destruction. The poem warns us about extreme emotions.
Up tak we have completed the overview, both major symbols, the line progression, vocabulary, structure, and textbook questions. Now let us convert understanding into exam language. The most important keywords are symbol, desire, passion, hatred, coldness, indifference, destruction, contrast, personal experience, rhythm, and varied rhyme scheme.
Common mistake number 1 is writing a purely literal summary. Correct it by explaining the metaphorical meaning. Common mistake number 2 is saying that the speaker chooses fire completely. Correct it by mentioning that the speaker gives fire the first position but also accepts ice as sufficient. Common mistake number 3 is listing literary features without explaining their effect.
For a short answer on the title, explain that fire and ice names the two contrasting images at the center of the poem. They represent opposite emotional forces, desire and hatred or indifference, yet both are connected with destruction. The title is brief but effective because it places the central contrast before the poem even begins.
For a question on the speaker, remember that the voice is reflective and personal. The speaker refers to having tasted desire and knowing enough of hate. That does not create a detailed character sketch. It shows experience, thoughtful observation, and an ability to see destructive potential in both emotional extremes.
For a question on relevance, write that the poem remains meaningful because human emotions continue to influence actions and interactions. Uncontrolled desire may lead to destructive behavior, while hatred, insensitivity, and indifference may also cause harm. Frost's warning is personal as well as social, asking readers to examine the effects of their feelings.
Final active recall round. Name the 3 things you must include in a symbol answer. First, identify what fire or ice represents. Second, mention 1 or 2 connected emotions. Third, explain that the emotion can lead to destruction. If you're answering about rhyme, add its effect on rhythm, balance, engagement, and contrast.
One more useful study method is to teach the poem to someone else. Explain fire in 30 seconds, ice in 30 seconds, and the final message in 30 seconds. If you get stuck, use Etsy for a revision challenge or an active recall question. Then try the explanation again without looking at notes. Retrieval followed by explanation exposes the exact point that needs revision.
We are entering the final section now. Here is the complete recap. Fire and ice are physical images used as symbols. Fire represents intense desire, passion, greed, lust, fury, or rage. Ice represents hatred, coldness, indifference, insensitivity, rigidity, or intolerance. Although the symbols are opposites, Frost says both can be great enough to cause destruction.
Remember the speaker's role as well. Personal experience of desire makes fire convincing, while knowledge of hate makes ice equally convincing. The poem has 9 lines and a varied rhyme scheme that creates rhythm, balance, engagement, and a stronger contrast. Your common mistake to avoid is treating the poem as only a literal prediction, or writing that fire alone is destructive.
Your small challenge is this: write a 6-sentence answer explaining how fire and ice represent opposite emotions with a similar destructive result. Include the meanings of perish and suffice, and add 1 sentence on the effect of the varied rhyme scheme. Then read your answer aloud once. Whether you used a notebook or simply listened, you have revised the poem with understanding. Keep questioning your ideas. Return to Etsy when a doubt appears and study with confidence. We will meet again for another calm revision session.